guys, and welcome to Toto on Video Podcast. My name is Alamin Ahmed, your usual host for this very podcast. And you're probably wondering, why am I holding the mic? Where am I? Quite unusually, we're not at our very same location. As you can see, we are in the outdoors. And if you want to know where we are at the Junction Mall, Nairobi, hosted by Nikon for the kidscon 2024, where we have a lot of fun activities for you and the kids, your siblings, your nephews, your nieces, and basically every child all around. Now, once again, this is a podcast by kids, 2 kids, 4 kids, and everyone in general. Now, as you can see today, we have a new guest on the podcast, and I'm going to let him introduce himself, as we always do to our guests in this podcast. Now, hi.
Hi.
You're good?
Yeah, I'm good. How about you?
I'm good, bro. What going to do?
Yeah, Mazi.
Now,
finally, I'm in front of the camera.
Finally in front of the camera.
Hey.
Alright, go ahead and introduce yourself. Let the guys know who you were.
Okay, so my name is Mabega Mutiso, aka Mabega.
Mabega.
Kama dawa.
Kama dawa.
Like medicine, like obvious.
Now, this is Maingi, guys. He's usually the cameraman for this production. Now, he's been behind the camera so much, but we finally decided to give him a chance to be in front of the camera. Now, today, the one who's behind the cameras is Eric Namai, our mentor for the podcast, and my very good friend, too. He's right there looking at me with very sympathetic eyes, or rather empathetic, like he's about to choke me. But anyway, this is Mabega, guys, one of the best camera producers, or rather camera recorders that I've ever seen here at Toto News. Now, we're going to let him basically tell us more about what he likes to do, or what he does basically at our organization, so that perhaps you can get to know him better and far more than, just the cameraman for our production team.
Okay, so as I said, my name is Maingi Mutiso. People call me Mabega.
Mabega, yeah.
Mabega or shoulders.
Shoulders.
I don't know why. But probably I have the shoulders to lean on when you have a hard time. Yes, especially for people who are in front of the camera, like you.
Yeah. Mabega has helped me through a lot, by the way, guys.
So basically, I'm just a videographer, also a director. I've ever worked in a radio station also, so I know things to do with audio. And also, the new thing that I'm trying currently is animation. Yeah, it's a hard one.
True. I could tell.
Personally, I am training myself.
Oh, you're
not
training
going to a school to train. Yeah, so YouTube videos and such things. But it's hard. I've started with DaVinci Resolve, and now I've graduated to Blender. But still trying.
It's all about the ups and downs, whether or not we do get to perfect it or not.
Yeah.
At some point, we're gonna be perfect at what we're already trying to basically surpass.
Yeah.
Now, animation, what a way to teach yourself. By the way, self-learning is one of, I'd say, preferable ways to teach yourself to learn something. But sometimes people can find it very hard to basically learn by themselves, because obviously there's different types of people. There's those who are so centered around hand to mouth, you get, and then there are those ones who are like, I'd rather do this by myself, and then there are those ones who are like, teamwork is a dream work, you get. But the fact that you're trying to basically experience an area out of your norm, that is videography, photography, producing, editing, graphic, that's pretty cool. Animation, I can't wait to see how he's going to animate some stuff for us here at Toto News. I'd be glad to see that.
Yeah, thank you.
Welcome.
Also, talking about the teaching yourself, actually, let's say experience is the best teacher.
Experience
it's
is the best
true,
teacher,
man.
yeah.
It's true. Though somebody told me experience is the best teacher, but it teaches fools.
It teaches fools.
But honestly, come to think of it, before I knew all these things, I was a fool in them.
Probably, yeah.
And most of the things, actually, I taught myself. I'm self-taught. Actually, most of the things that I do right now,
self-taught.
It's self-taught. Because
that's cool.
I went to school to do communication. But basically, they taught us about the corporate side of communication.
The corporate side. So, like, not the entirely, like, basically the whole
the things to coming to practicals, there were just one unit, one subject. So about camera work, I just learned. It took me 2 units only to learn about camera work. not a lot, which I expected to be a lot. About editing, also I'm an editor. Editing I was not taught at all in class. That one I taught myself.
That's cool.
Yeah. Editing, honestly, in the school I was, we were not taught editing. I've never found anyone who told me alifunzo editing. Hakuna msa alifunzo editing.
There's no sort of editing. Yeah.
Also, I know a bit of photography. Yeah, photography and also editing photos. And also illustrations a little bit. Yeah. But bado najifunza pole pole. But basically, I will say in this field, I found it interesting because personally, I tried to work on the broadcast side. Broadcast news and stuff, but it's not for me.
It's not, it's easy.
Because I'm a creative person. Me ujipata, I'm very creative, and I love actually African narrative in creativity. Because I want, my point is to make African known in its culture.
Oh, that's cool. Okay, to be honest, I'd say that's a good initiative, sort of a good plan, setting ahead of yourself. Because I'd say like Africans have so much. So much potential.
True.
But the thing is that they always put themselves off or down, or rather other people put them down and stuff like that, because the amount of potential Africans have, like, bro, it can amaze you in one way or another. Like the artists that are in Kenya, for say, those guys are so talented, but the only thing that's bringing them down is the fact that they cannot create a market for their content.
Literally, it's true. And the way I see it is that we are so much into the Western culture that we forget that we have a superior culture than them.
True.
We have a very rich culture, which we have not explored.
I mean, that's why even the Western people come over to our places to learn more about what we do. But the thing is, our mindsets are always pushed upon the fact that, no, the Western culture is better.
And actually, it will be interesting where the point when we reach, following the Westerners, and then we follow them until they come back to Africa, we realize they've come back to us. So who will we follow?
Literally,
Itabidi tujifuate tu.
We just have to follow our own.
Because actually I was thinking, all the stories that we hear of our legends. Wase kama kina
Mekatilili Wambanza.
Maze.
Bro, those guys were so amazing.
Actually, we have not documented most of our history.
True.
That's why it's fading off haraka.
True.
But I think also, it's also high time we start documenting our current, our present time. Because for future people in Africa, itakuwa so hard
True.
to even remember where we came from. Because even now, you as an African, what are you standing for?
True.
If I ask you that question, most of us, we don't know what you're standing for.
To be honest,
we're just
we don't.
living to survive.
Living to survive, surviving to living, True.
And I think also to incorporate a lot of Western culture in terms of religion, in terms of the way we were in everything. That
basically, because like, first, this is not a topic I like to discuss because I'm sorry to say this, but I'm not a supporter. LGBTQ plus. Like that's been brought over by the Westerners, right? In Africa, I'd say most parts of Africa, if not 98% or rather 99.99% of Africa, had not known what LGBTQ plus was until the Westerners came. Like even in our previous editions, you see that it's something that is not, it's not in our culture. It's not inbuilt within us. We're known it's the gender with a different gender. You get it? Stuff like this, like it's clouding up. What do you call it? Neo-colonialism, basically. That's basically what's happening in our current society, in our current times, in our current generations. That's all that's happening. I just wish that there was a way that Africans would wake up to realize their potential, realize their culture is much more richer than they think, and much more superior than most cultures, I'd say.
Actually, and that's okay. Personally, that's my mission, to make us seen and known by our richness in culture. In terms of, I was thinking, the way I was telling you, we never documented our history.
We never document our history.
And I think the best way to do that is through documenting
our history and stuff
the
like that.
Equipment we have.
Right.
Through camera, through video, through audio, all that.
Yeah.
Even this podcast, it's a form of documentation.
Literally, it is a form of documentation. Because after all, in the future, when I do have my grandkids, obviously, I'll be like, you know what? This is what I used to do when I was younger.
Yeah.
This is what made me who I am right now, currently. And yeah, that's some great advice, Mabega.
Yeah.
Now, perhaps we might be coming to the end of this podcast, but bro, let me tell you something. This is some great advice from our very own somebody to lean on shoulders, Mabega. But I am going to let him say his actual name once again, perhaps.
Yes, Maingi Mutiso is my name.
Maingi Mutiso.
An African.
Yes. I'm African too, guys. I'm African. But
Notice
yeah,
my name does not have any English name.
Mine doesn't have any English name, by the way. Anyway, my name is Alamin Ahmed. I was your host for this podcast, and this was Maingi Mutiso, Mabega, quote unquote, my very adviseful person, my very person I can lean on anytime I want to. Literally. But I really hope you guys have enjoyed this podcast. And you can check us out on all our social media platforms at Mtoto News. Check out our website at mtotonews.com. And yeah, you can also check me out on my Instagram at yvng.marlon. Be sure to check it out. And be sure... And you can find Maingi on his social media platforms at...
Yes, at Maingi Mutiso. On Twitter, on Instagram, Maingi Mutiso. Watu wanadhani ati mini celebs sijui niliiba hiyo jina, lakini that's the way it is. Sina ma 1 2 3 4 ama underscore.
Literally.
Maingi Mutiso.
Oh, and just a little bit of information that I'm going to let Maingi pass on to you guys.
Yes, so the Haircare space, we have it on Toto News, at Toto News, sorry.
Yep.
It's a platform where we shoot, we record. It's like a studio. We have different studios, like around 3 studios. The green room, the pink room, and also the main lounge where we record podcasts. We do green screens, and also we can do some acting over there. So you can subscribe to Hekaya Space on Instagram.
On Instagram.
Yes, on Instagram.
So follow Hekaya Space in Instagram at Hekaya Space, right? And be sure to check out all our social media platforms. Once again, our website, mtotonews.com. All our social media platforms at Mtoto News International. And I myself, yvng.marlon on Instagram. And Maingi Mutiso at Instagram. Well, this show was a very amazing podcast, and sorry to say this, but catch you in the next episode of Toto on Podcast. Goodbye.